I'd love to just comment on the whole idea of everybody in a community should have access to healthy food is really important. And I think that the policy implementations that we try to think about at the state level are trying to make everybody's diet and nutrition improved. So no matter what racial or ethnic group you're from, what we're really striving for is that the food choices that you can make enable you to be the healthiest that you can. Your point about the pricing is something that I think is important, as far as there's an idea, and you're right, that food that is less expensive is generally not as healthy for you. And I think that we struggle from a policy level with the food industry and some of the other ways that food is distributed in neighborhoods, and trying to make sure that the neighborhoods get equal access, and that fast food industry gives equal access to healthy nutrition for all populations.
And thank you, Ruth. I was going to just kind of add to that. In the first 15 years of my career, I used to provide nutrition counseling as a registered dietitian to help people think about, better food choices at the personal level, and now work more at sort of the state level to think about organizational change. And so people say to me, so if somebody really needs to, find better food and think about that, what would you recommend? And one of the things I always somewhat jokingly say, but I think it really is true, is send them to almost any other country for 2 months, almost anywhere else in the world, because our food is so cheap here. We have so much abundance of food, and it's so inexpensive relative to other parts of the world that it's on every corner, and it's all the time. And if you go to meetings, it's in front of you. And we do have an abundance of food, and even though there can be much more costly food for some, and there's a food insecurity issue for some, we just have a very different pricing system. And if you really think about, if you go to almost any other nation and you spend $35 for a very small amount of food, versus here you spend $3.99 for a huge amount that you go back for 4 times, and then you order French fries and you get a plate like this, or if you order a soda and you get something that looks like this, our kids are growing up with thinking that that's normal. And so I think the pricing issue and the quantity issue is something that as a society we do need to think about, and I think the food industry issue is something really important for us to think about, because that can really change behaviors. I mean, there's been some clear studies that show, and we've had one example that I can share. We worked with some of the hospitals to change the pricing of their food, as well as putting nutrition information out there and educating people about what's good for them. And just some of the data that's come out of First Health, which is a hospital down in the Sandhills, they adjusted their pricing structure, and I'll just read you some of the numbers. I can't keep the details in my head, but as they lowered the price of their healthy foods and raised the price of their less healthy foods, they saw a 418% increase in veggie burger sales and 874% increase in turkey burgers, while their fried chicken went down, their double cheeseburgers went down 53 and 59% respectively. And that was just, it's a combination of labeling and pricing. So we do have to really think about availability and access and keeping good foods in front of all people. But the pricing part of it is something that I think we're going to learn more and more about. And it does have a big impact on behavior.